This is ABC Radio Sydney. Time for some live music. The Sydney band, the Gin Palace, exploded onto the music scene late last year, playing gigs around the country with bands including Tism, The Clouds, The Charlatans, Grinspoon, You Am I and more. The Gin Palace is new, but the members are all stalwarts of the Australian music scene, coming from bands like Crow, Glide, Scarlet and Copperline. The band released its second single, Unsettled, earlier this month. It's from their forthcoming album, The Year of the Dog. Singer Peter Fenton wrote the song with Jim Moginie from Midnight Oil. Thanks for coming in to play with us this morning. Peter, would you like to introduce the members of the band and tell us a bit about your music?
Yeah, g'day, and thanks for having us on. Gareth on drums and Bradley on keyboards both come from the Copperline tree. Marc Tobin on acoustic guitar, Marc Lynch on the bass guitar, Paul McDonald, who formed the band, sort of a musical, quasi-musical director and recording artist. He's recorded the band, so that's essentially it.
I understand you come from a number of bands. You've all come together to form this particular band.
Yeah, we coalesced.
A meeting of great minds, perhaps.
Yeah, very kind. Well, essentially the band is part of a touring powerhouse that does lots of sort of shows, Bowie shows, kind of the roll around the country. So there was a decision that was made to just kind of do our own original songs, and so at that point I was brought on to write and sing.
Now, your music's a bit special. I understand the Koori radio station 93.7 has been playing the song Unsettled, and the station usually only plays First Nations artists, but the Gin Palace was recently added to the station's playlist. Right,
yeah. Well, I mean, it just shows that, I certainly had no intention when I wrote the song to join the chorus as it is towards the voice, but... And never in my wildest dreams would I sit down and write a song with one of my musical heroes, Jim Moginie, but also that it would be accepted and brought in and welcomed into the Koori media landscape is really incredible and profound to us.
What inspired the song then, Peter?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I saw the Unsettled. There was an exhibition at the Australian Museum. I also saw like a history researchers thing also at the Maritime Museum. Songs are drawn from a time and place and are kernels that hold sort of elements of what's going on. So whilst you don't necessarily set out to write about particular things, they seem to appear from nowhere and have their own sort of energy and life force about them.
And Unsettled, I believe, is one of the songs you have for us today.
That's correct.
Okay, then I think we should hear it.
Great, here we go.
1, 2, 3. Fragile panty summer dress swings in the shade of the tree. The little one puts a foot down in the back, and now it's 40 degrees. In the summertime, Waterhole River gone, shadows getting longer indeed. Long tall man in a petrol sniffing paradise is waiting for a conscience to breathe. In the summertime, in adventure time. The height of the bushfire season, the low of the temper treason, our settlers Women in a circle, campfire, laughing kids running in the red dirt of home. In rows the militaries, the tire marks of history, out where Namatjira would roam. In the summertime, what's at the heart of this fear and insecurity? We cover all up in khaki. The ghostly hand that's at the fabric of connection that will surely set us all free. In the summertime, in adventure time. The height of the bushfire season, the low of the temper treason. Our settlers, unsettled, unsettled.
Woo! I need some more applause in here, don't I? It's not as effective with just me. That's so distinctively Australian, that sound.
Thanks.
Peter.
Yeah, it's got that feeling about the landscape. And when I sat down to write, I brought Jim in sort of halfway through. It was him that brought the landscape and Namatjira and into the song, which, yeah, I can hear it, but I can feel it as well.
You're listening to the Gin Palace here on ABC Radio Sydney Mornings. What a way to finish the show. My goodness, that's Peter Fenton, the singer. And I've got texters already saying, Peter, that it sounds very midnight oilish. Is that okay? Some laughter from the band.
The first thing I said to Jim was that I rang him and said that, I've got a song, that has his fingerprints all over it. He better bring me in. He better sort of guide the way.
You keep talking about Jim. You better explain who Jim is.
Jim Moginie is sort of a founding member of Midnight Oil. Known him for a few years. I've recorded and he mixed the record of a band I played with. Just somebody who, shines the light and encourages others to do that, and not only shine the light out, but shine the light within, for our, and a walk towards harmony. I think that's what the song is about. We're not politicians. We're just sort of, people, who grew up in this country and just looking at things with sort of, objective, fresh eyes is just sort of really the heart of the song.
You've got two songs for us today, and both, I believe, were produced by the guitarist Paul McDonald at his Blue Mountains recording studio.
That's correct.
Fabulous. You've got a recording studio. Is this your home?
Yeah, there's a few homes, there's a few studios, and there's a few Blue Mountains. So we've recorded the majority at one studio. It's a bit of a remote situation. We did it through the end of COVID. We fly in some vocals, we fly in some guitars, everyone has a hand in it, and I suppose I'm the mix master at the end, and turned it out the sausage machine and away we go.
So then how often would you actually all get together to have time to rehearse?
It's sort of show driven, so if we've got an event coming up, we'll get together for that, but we're pretty tactile and don't require a lot of time on this, so we've done enough work with other bands, and we tour with other people as well, but this is our main focus for the rest of this album cycle.
Peter?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, how this song sort of comes to life is that I literally send Paul through a recording done on a phone that's so basic that lacks hardly any embellishment or arrangement, and then it's turned over in, sort of good faith and love to the rest of the band, and everyone, contributes and lays down their contribution. And Paul's right, did a lot of this was sort of happening while COVID was circling around us, so sort of different sort of forms of practice, working together had to arrive.
So Paul's the magician then in the band.
That's one word you could use.
All
right, what's the second song for us that you have today?
Yeah, great. Okay. This is a song called Burn Your Heart Out, sort of like an objective view of the radical heart and lengths people will go to, and just a sort of a look at that. It's called Burn Your Heart Out.
Take it away.
Out on this glorious day, he thought of God and his children and all of his ways. Praise the Lord, yeah, right from your heart. Well, here comes something's gonna tear it apart. Well, he says Allah is his name and that is the law, as he straps on his backpack and he heads for the door. Reason for living, it's his reason for living, and God is great and forever forgiving. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out. Walks down the road and he smiles hello at the child of the neighbor who lives below. He thinks one of us will live in the light, and the kid says he got time to play soldiers and fight. Well, he shakes his head and he gets on his way. There'll be bigger things happening on this sunny day. He'll walk forward, he'll never walk back till the thing goes off in the middle of his back. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out. Burn your heart out.
Peter, that's beautiful. I think that's my favourite. Who wrote that?
That's one of mine.
That's one of yours, Peter Fenton. Take a bow.
Oh, look.
That's truly excellent. We've had a couple of texters say you're channeling Nick Cave and Dave Graney.
Well, we're all part of the same tree, but yeah, same bat channel.
Is that Mr. Dave Graney messaging you?
Possibly.
We've worked with Dave. He's a good friend of ours.
He's a gem.
Somebody else has texted they can hear the distinct go-betweens references in the Gin Palace sound. Would you agree?
We seem to be shaking a certain tree.
I think you're unique.
No one's saying Burt Bacharach, have you noticed?
Right.
No Burt Bacharach yet, although I can hear Marc Tobin singing
Right.
there in the background.
Yes.
Marc Tobin, who I claim as my chief of staff in the newsroom, who is a very talented man, and I know this is something that he puts his heart into when he leaves work. It's his passion, and we're very lucky to have him in the newsroom, and he's a very talented musician, and I guess...
As are we.
As is the rest of the band. I can't give him too much of a rap, right? Is that what you're saying?
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, you released the second single, the first song, Unsettled, earlier this month. It's from your forthcoming album, The Year of the Dog, and I do believe that you're going to be launching it at the Union Hotel in Newtown in June?
Yes, we are. That'll be the single. Come on down, Union Hotel.
Anyone can go?
Anyone can go, providing you're over 18 and sober.
It's the 9th of June. It's
Yeah.
a Friday night, and it's free to get in.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And where can people go if they want to hear more?
I believe those streaming services that we all know and love.
No. Well, there's that too, but we like live music.
Yeah, live music. We have a few other tours coming up at the end of the year with some internationals. So,
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Some things we can say, some things we can't.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're playing with the Inspiral Carpets, who are a famous band from Manchester. That's coming up in August.
Yeah.
It's at the Manning Bar, so that's coming up as well.
Like and follow us on socials is the best way to keep up to date with what's happening.
Alrighty. I mean, it's just so nice to have live music back, isn't it? After the
Yeah,
pandemic.
sure is.
It certainly
Yeah,
is.
something about it.
You just would have been locked up writing, I imagine.
Yeah, and who wants that?
Well, this is what you're turning out, though.
Yeah. It was good to turn something that was a little negative and constraining into something productive, and that sort of like, it's cohesive and as I mentioned before, that has harmony. And so thanks for having us on.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure listening to you. I wanted to ask, out of the six of you, who else has a full-time job like Marc Tobin, who works in our newsroom, or are you all full-time musicians apart from Marc?
No, I believe we all work for the government at some point.
I think these days, like even a lot of the top bands, everyone has a job on the side. So I think our focus is on music, pretty well and truly. But yeah, we hope my boss isn't listening. But it's, our main focus is music. But yeah, we all have day jobs.
Hard to believe, given how lucrative the Australian music industry is. So.
Well, that too. Although I'm getting another texter saying here, don't forget Peter's other band, Crow.
Crow, yes.
Yeah.
They can hear some sounds of Crow in the music.
Thank you.
We would hope
Thank you,
so.
listener.
We would hope so. We take that as a very high compliment.
Thank you so much for coming in. I know it's not easy. You've got to bring in all the equipment. We never offer you much parking here at the ABC because it is the ABC. It takes a long time to set up. I was watching you from about 9:30 setting up in the studio opposite me. I'm looking at you through a big glass window and there's a lot of instruments. It takes a lot of your time. I know my colleague had to reshuffle his working day, and that means you have to get other people to come in and cover for you.
Right.
Really appreciate it. The music is beautiful.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear more.
Good on you.
If
Thanks
you're-
for having us in.
Peter,
for
if
having
you'd
us.
like to just sign off for everybody, perhaps. A round of applause for your team members in the band.
Yeah, well, thanks. We all stand together, and thanks also to the beautiful staff who here who made us feel very welcome and has produced what the ABC do so well is just kind of really, really great, sort of excellent work.
So that's Peter Fenton on vocals, Paul McDonald on guitar, Marc Tobin on guitar, Marc Lynch on bass, Brad Christmas on keyboards, and Gareth Richards on drums. I think I've got that right. Take a bow. The Gin Palace. Thank you so much for coming in to sing for us here on ABC Radio Sydney Mornings.